Hello and welcome to week 5 of PA117. We are doing a midterm review today, and I wanted to tell you a little bit about what comes with week 5. You will take a midterm, and that is the only thing that you have to do this week except for a week 5 survey. So if you will also take your week 5 survey and your midterm exam by Sunday evening, then the rest of the week you have to study and get ready for your midterm. So let's hop right into what the midterm exam is going to look like. I always like to do a review so that you know what to expect on the midterm, so you don't have to go in there, look at the things, and then say, oh crap, I should have studied more. So you are still in this book, The Essentials of Law and Ethics of the Pharmacy Technician. The good news is you're only in the first 3 chapters. There's no more required reading. In week 5, you are in the first 3 chapters, and there is a lot in those first 3 chapters. If you can remember reading them, you go to page 40. So there are 40 pages that this midterm can be over. And so I wrote some of them down that I wanted to just review with you so that you are ready when we go. So just to start off, there are 50 questions. They're worth 4.8 points apiece. And they're mostly multiple choice, then fill in the blank, and also true, false. And your questions can come, and what I've seen, some of the questions are coming from like the quiz questions that we've had or the end of the chapter questions that you had. Some of those questions are copied right from those. So if you've done those, you've probably already answered some of that. So you might want to bring that back up and be able to review with that. And then also from the discussion questions, we really talked a lot about some of the issues that were in these chapters, and so they're asking you questions about that. And so I think that those will be probably easy for you to answer and understand because we've already really dove deep into that. Okay, so what are the questions about you're asking? And there's some that are specific laws, so you'll want to go back and review Durham-Humphrey of 1952. You'll want to go back and review the Wiley Act of 1906. There's a couple questions on both of those. Again, they're asking about malpractice, negligence, and a lot about controlled substance. They're asking a lot about the FDA, the FDCA, and also the DEA. If you can remember, we talked a little bit about that in the first chapter of this. So you'll want to make sure you do that. I also saw some questions on packaging. What does your packaging need to look like, and what does it have to include on that label? So you'll want to make sure you do that. There's some questions on inspections and what those include. So you'll want to review that, and I see that in chapter 3 along with the label requirements. Who may prescribe prescription drugs? There's some questions on that also in chapter 3. Let's see. An IND's purpose. You want to know that, page 27. Ask a couple questions about that. The IND's purpose is to tell the FDA about the investigation and its protocol and procedures to ensure the quality of the investigation. Patients and investigational subjects' rights are also outlined in the protocol. An IND only notifies the FDA of the investigation. This does not apply on official endorsements on the investigation of the FDA. So you'll want to review that and the procedures of that. And remember, IND is investigational new drugs. Talks a little bit about drug samples. There's one question about that. Who can have them and how does it help people? About your drug facts. Oh, adulteration, page 19 and 21, misbranding. There is a question or two about those. Going into chapter 2, Sorry, I'm working backwards. I always love to work backwards. That's how I read things. Page 14, opium and heroin epidemic of the early 1900s. There's a couple questions on that. So you'll want to do that. 20th century, what was happening before that? They have some questions on that. And then chapter 1 is talking about criminal versus civil law. Remember, we talked about malpractice in this one. Who's to blame? When is it negligent? Remember our discussion question from that week. Most of the questions from that chapter include some of that. So hopefully that helps you to get to know your first 3 chapters. I think you'll do awesome on the midterm. You're doing fine on the rest of the work. So that will hopefully give you just a start on studying. And then, like I said, you can use your book on the midterm. See if you can do it without. Again, really great way to study for your certification exam. If you can't, no problem, then use your book. But again, if you can do it without your book and you can study and do it without your book and then maybe go back and answer some of the questions that you couldn't with your book, I think that will be the quickest way to get through the exam is to answer the ones you know without the book and then go back and the ones you couldn't answer, then look up in your book. So if you're having trouble and you're needing more time, let me know and I can do that for you. You should have plenty of time. There's plenty of time on the exam. But again, that just happens. Sometimes it sneaks up on people. Hope you have a great week. Let me know if I can help. You'll be receiving your midterm grades tomorrow, Monday, so that you know where you stand before the midterm, and then we'll go on and you'll know how to catch up or just keep going at the rate you are. Hopefully you have a great week and talk with you soon.